so for this week, I figured I haven't cooked in a while and I've been feeling and looking a lot more sluggish than I used to. So I've been trying to commit to being more intentional with my eating. This week, I thought I would do a nice little meal prep. I haven't done meal preps in years. This particular recipe is just a go-to that I freaking love. So these meals are just meant to be in the freezer. So when I'm working alone at home, or if I just don't have the time, instead of calling in delivery or making instant noodles, I have something healthy and balanced to go. So I'm gonna show you what I got today. I just went to the grocery store and I've been using this bag by Beyond the Vines. It's a beautiful color, it's so sturdy, and I love it for grocery shopping. I got some salmon. I also got 2 big bunches of broccoli. Now I also got some edamame, which from time to time I like to include in my meal preps, but most of the time I eat these as snacks because they are really low in calories, they are very tasty, and they're healthy because it's veggies. Oh, then I also have chicken breast. This is just for tacos so that he can have more on his kibble. He's already looking on. And Noodles is allergic to chicken, so this is only for tacos. So I got some tomatoes. I got some extra silken tofu. I don't know if I'll be able to show it to you, but I like to eat it cold, and I have like a 5-minute recipe that is really good. Also, tau kwa. I love to stir fry these. I also got some cherries and grapes because they look great and they were on offer. And I'm my mom essentially, so I just had to get it. So first things first, we're gonna start with the marinade for the salmon. You gotta plan properly. This one needs the most times. So I'm just gonna take out a bunch of sauces that I'm gonna use for the marinade. I feel like light soy sauces can taste very different, but so far I like the Tai Hua one the best. And we also need some vinegar. When it's an Asian inspired flavor, I just like the vinegar because it gives a little zing, and just the tiniest bit of sugar to kind of balance all of the flavors. And this is optional, but you can also add other things like umams, like oyster sauce and fish sauce. I personally really love the fragrance of sesame oil, so that's what I'm adding. And I also like to add honey because once again, like the sugar, it balances out the flavors, and it also creates this like really glossy sauce that I feel like it makes the flesh even more tender. I don't know if I'm tripping. I'm not a professional chef, but you couldn't tell by the way that I was massaging this Ziploc bag. So yeah, that's how I mix up my marinade. I am trying to be as low fast as possible. I don't like cleaning up, and I find that putting all of the salmon and the marinade in the Ziploc bag helps save a lot of stress and a lot of cleanup after, because you can just chuck it away later. And I'm gonna cut up the salmon as well, so that it's easier to fry and also easier to portion out. So I bought 2 pretty chunky steaks of salmon, and I would personally recommend you go for salmon steaks that are very nicely in the middle. It doesn't taper too much at the end or at the front, because I feel like that's where the good stuff is. So I'm gonna section each steak into 3s, and I feel like that's a pretty generous lunch portion. And I'm also trying to remove all of the bones before I chuck it in the marinade, and usually I'll let this sit for an hour or 2. I'm not measuring anything out because it's really to your personal taste. For me, this is really just how I feel like that day, and every time it comes out slightly different, but not that different because it's the same ingredients. It's all about the vibes, man. Don't worry about measuring too many things. Just eyeball it, taste it as you go. If it tastes good, then your salmon would taste like that. So for now, I'm just gonna set it aside. So next up, I will sort out the broccoli. I love broccoli because I think broccoli holds up very well in the freezer as well, and it's just a chunky filling vegetable. Do you know what I mean? It keeps you full, and I just like it. So I'm gonna cut it into bite-sized pieces, and don't throw away the stems because the stems actually are very much edible and they're very tasty. I don't know why there's this weird myth that you cannot eat the stems of the broccoli. I don't know who started it, but you can totally eat it, and it's actually very nutritious, and the dogs also like it. So I just cut them up into chunks and then set them aside. between those two heads of broccoli, like we got 2 full bowls of like broccoli to cook, so that's pretty fun. And then since we're here on a chopping board, I'm just gonna cut up some limes as well. This is for the quinoa. So with the quinoa, you can obviously cook it plain, but for me, I like to zheng it up a little bit, and I just like to add a bit of flavor. So I just very quickly halve all of my limes. I just happen to have these like calamansi limes in my fridge, but you could honestly use lemon as well. Anything works lah. And I'm also gonna chop up some garlic. Garlic, quinoa, match made in heaven. I don't know what to say. Oh my god, the flavors are really phenomenal. I don't know why, but garlic, quinoa, lime is just one of those things that would really elevate your meal and look a lot more like fancy and put together than it really is. So I'm just doing a really rough chop. I don't care about how it looks at all. Like, you could make it beautiful. I genuinely don't care how my garlic looks and like how uneven the little chunks are, because it's all going in anyway. In the meantime, I've also boiled some hot water, and I'm just gonna very simply boil the broccoli. There's no real hard science to it. Like 2-3 minutes later, when I see the broccoli is looking as green as ever, I drain it, set it aside, and I won't forget that little baby that just dropped off. You know, it deserves to be loved and eaten too, okay? And I'm just gonna plop it back into the bowl, set it aside, and get the pot ready for batch number 2. There we go, bam, batch number 2 done. And then I set the broccoli to the side to just let it cool down and get started on the quinoa. I love quinoa. I love this tri-colored one because it just looks very fun. You don't actually have to wash quinoa, so don't make the mistake that I did. I think I'm so rusty, I haven't made it in so long. I'm just topping it up with some of my dry quinoa and just like cooking all of it. You can see how old it is, oh my god. But yeah, quinoa is super easy to cook. I would recommend you toast it while it's still dry, just so that this like nutty flavor comes out, and that's why I feel like there's no need to wash it. You could also add a little bit of oil just to get that fragrance like even more. Again, I'm trying to be healthier, but like I'm, you know, not a health nut, so I like to do these things to make my food taste very good and fragrant. And a little bit of oil is okay for me, but if you don't want to, it's okay. Honestly, you could start off just with the garlic and a little bit of oil, and then add the quinoa in. You know, I don't know why I did it this way. I think I must have forgotten. The fork is really hot, so don't leave it in there. But I added some water, do a little mixeroo, and then added even more water, and I'm adding my limes. I did kind of worry whether the lime would turn in flavor or get bitter because, you know, there's a lot of heat, but it didn't, and it came out okay. So you don't have to use that many limes. I just personally like my things like zingy. And then from here on out, just let the quinoa simmer, and don't worry about when it'll be done. Like, you'll be able to tell. It's very forgiving. It's usually in like half an hour, and I'll show you later. So now that the broccoli has cooled down, we're just gonna portion it all and set it aside. I am very generous with my broccoli because I love having a lot of veggies, and I like feeling full. So that's it. You can also see in the background I am watching Soup's video on Colleen Ballinger. What a shit show. Honestly, this is maybe like 15 to 20 minutes in. It's really quick, but see how the quinoa has like fluffed up. I add some kosher salt or like sea salt if you have some, so it's not super salty, and I mix it in. I taste it as I go, add a little bit more, mix it in, and then also some black pepper to taste, and that's literally it for the quinoa. Just spooning them into little portions now, and you can see it's so light and fluffy, very fragrant, and it's just something different from like rice if you're really bored of like having rice, or if you feel like rice is too starchy. So okay, this is what it's looking like now. It's just simple boiled broccoli and garlic and lime quinoa. Okay, I've just taken the salmon out of the fridge. The marinade has been sitting for, I want to say like 1 to 2 hours. So I'm actually just gonna air fry these at my place and then come back. I air fry them at 200 degrees Celsius for around maybe like 15 minutes. I think that should be good, especially because the fillets are a little bit smaller. I think it can do with even less time. So I'll just pop it in and we'll see. Right, here it is. Okay, time to check it out. Ooh, that looks pretty done already. I'm gonna set it aside. Alright, and then second batch. The boys smell the salmon. They are circling. Here is what they look like. That's why I said, honestly, air frying is the best option. It's fast, it's efficient, and minimal cleanup. And I'm just gonna plate them up here. Ah, I broke it. Oh man. Don't waste this juice. This juice is tasty. Done! Actually, not gonna lie, my favorite part of meal prepping is being able to like just eat a little bit as I go. Snapping off the tail. Oh my god. Alright, so this is the final product. I've got my greens. Most of the time, if I'm honest, it's broccoli. So when I bust this out of the freezer or the fridge, I like to drizzle my broccoli with a little bit of roasted sesame dressing. It's divine, so try it, okay? And then I also have my carbs. So today I went with quinoa, but you can honestly swap it out for anything. Most often I cook quinoa because it's fast and it's very tasty. It's very nice. I like the texture. I added garlic and lime into it, but you can honestly add anything that's in your pantry. For protein, I decided to go with this like sesame honey soy salmon that I really love. It's always slappy. If you wanted to be more healthy, I guess you can exit or maybe put less marinade. But for me, I just throw a bunch of the sauces that I really enjoy, and it makes the flesh really like tender, and you can just get rid of marinade after, air fry it or pan fry it, and then it's amazing. I got myself a whole week of meals there. Okay, so I spent like $45 maybe on all the ingredients except for the quinoa that I already have. And it's a really hearty portion, very well balanced, and like I said, always happy to eat this meal. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you want me to do more like meal preppy stuff or like what I eat in a week, and let me know what else you want to see. So if you like this video, don't forget to like it and also subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every week and it's just a fun time. So come hang out and I will see you next week. Bye!